Hi everyone, this is Franz again, bringing you the newest update from the trend trading perspective in world markets. Finally, after you've been listening to me for such a long time, always again and again and again, seeing the uptrends in indice markets, we can talk about something else today. Again, the topic will be the indices, but they are not in an uptrend anymore. As it turns out, you are following a trend for a year and more just to have 2 days disrupt all of your previous bull action and stop you out and send the markets into a territory where they haven't been in months before, and also in relation to the balance zone. We are seeing some interesting stuff here today. Let's make this an indice special in this regard. We are starting out with the Dax index in Germany, which is, well, just need to mention very few things about it. You can see that the market here, this is the beginning of 2017. The market has been rising. It came into the balance zone, which stops us out. And here we have our new entry signal as new all-time highs are made. As soon as they are made, the market stalls, doesn't do anything. Again, it stops us out because the fractal inside the balance zone, the first one is here. And here we are lower, just a couple of points, but we are lower than here. So we stop out. We stop out at a loss and we re-enter the market. Here is your new all-time high. It's marked by this black line and the market hits that. Just a little bit. It doesn't close above it or anything, but it hits it and we are long. My stop is right down here at that last fractal inside the balance zone. When you take a look at this trade, it was on for 2 weeks and immediately got stopped out, as the DAX already the previous week went back into the balance zone and wasn't able to stay up and trade higher. This is market action against the overall trend. This is market action not following the monthly chart that is above the balance zone, which means we are trending upwards. Here we are stopped out. We take a loss of about 1% on our account, as all the positions we open do have that kind of risk. If you enter a position with more risk, and this happens here, very unthankful, not at all fitting the theory of trend following and the market, you get hit on a buy signal while the overall trend is running upwards into your direction, and what happens is this: the market hits your signal and immediately drops back down heavily. Very few times this happens, but it does happen, and usually it happens when the market really wants to turn into a bigger kind of correction. Not just a pullback, but an actual correction, which would mean we are seeing prices coming much lower, not just like here inside the balance zone, but we are coming much lower, and we are also seeing momentum building up to the negative, gaining speed into the negative. So we are out of the DAX before this last week happened. Just for that we've talked about it all, you can see that there is no bounce in the last week. We do not have any bounce off of lows where we would say the market is probably about to jump higher again and again, making new all-time highs like we've seen it during the past couple of months, even the past year. This is not to be expected in the DAX. We don't want to put our opinion into the marketplace. All we know is that this is no time anymore to be long, and we have to wait what the market does. Even on this monthly chart here, we are closing inside the balance zone. We really have to see how this proceeds, and for us, the long-term trend follower, this kind of scenario just tells us that we're not going to be doing anything here anytime soon, because the market's not going to be able to give us any signals. It's way too soon to sell anything, to go short on this, because you would first need a breakout on your higher time frame to follow the market downwards, and it's not going to be a buy signal going to be hit anytime soon, in my opinion, as the market is just not in that phase anymore. But we will see if that's correct. Let's take a look at the much longer trend that was running in the S&P that I was very happy with, and I'm still very happy with the result of it. I had been mentioning ever since the end of 2016 and into 2017, those three buy signals that we were taking into this trend. We're piling on, we're scaling in, and we're piling on positions that work and where the market is running into our direction. And this was working out pretty well here. Nothing really to say about it. It just runs, it stays above the balance zone. It does exactly the same on the monthly chart. The last 3 weeks, 4 weeks in this trend, we're really zooming away from the balance zone. And I was mentioning in the past weekly recaps how a scenario like this is always going to be followed by some sort of drop back to the balance zone. It doesn't mean that we drop back like we have here. It could also mean that we are just stalling and approaching the balance zone again. But the balance zone always is the place where the market is going to be if you have no new incoming information, or if the momentum and the speed of the momentum of the old incoming information is used up and the market has had enough. Everything is priced in. You don't have any more bullish set-offs, bullish news that make the market jump higher. And we never know when this happens and how fast it happens and how deep it's going to drop. But in the S&P we had a 5% decline. I think it was a 5% decline into the balance zone. And it's not just we are slightly touching the green line of our balance zone like we did here, or we are slightly touching but really quickly bouncing off like we have or had in all of these scenarios here. No, what happens is the price dropped down heavily. It reaches from this parabolic kind of scenario here where the market is actually moving away from the balance zone. The market is steep like this, the balance zone is unable to follow it like this, which simply means that we are rising too fast, pretty much. It's a very subjective kind of thing that you can put on the market, but it just gives us an idea of where is the market in relation to itself. The balance zone is the normal state of the being of this market, and the actual price is always deviating and oscillating around that actual state. And if it moves away from the normal state of being too much, too fast, then you will have this drop back. And as you can see here, from this parabolic scenario, we are dropping back into the balance zone all the way down to the blue line, which is the lower border of the balance zone. You would usually expect a bounce off of your higher border, the green line, or the middle of the balance zone here, the red line. But it didn't happen. We are coming down and we're bouncing off of the blue line a little bit to close at the red line. I don't see any bounce off of the balance zone. I don't see price rejecting these very low areas here. Instead, I see strength to the downside, and I see the market having finished this uptrend. That is my current state of being here in this market. We are trading a trend following system where we are buying fractals outside the balance zone, and we're stopping out when there are fractals in the opposite direction inside the balance zone. And that would mean that we are waiting for a fractal here like this, or a fractal in this area, or even here. If the market goes below them, we stop out of long positions. Now, as you can see in a scenario like this, when it comes down so far, so heavy, the market doesn't have time to form these fractals. Probably there will be one down here now, but look at how far down it is. I mean, you're still making money on your previous entries from 2016 and early 2017. But you are very far down low, and it's always your opinion and your well-being or something like that that will decide on where are you going to put a stop, as long as the system hasn't given you an official stop as per your rules. You could of course leave your stop at the last fractal down here, but leaving all of this on the table is, in my opinion, not smart and shouldn't be done. You should move your stop along with the market, and you should be able to determine stop levels that make sense and stop levels that are far away enough from the current price action, so that when some sort of quick scenario to the downside or against you happens, you're not caught on it and you stay in the market. But at the same time, if something happens like we saw in the last 2 weeks, you are taking profit and you're securing your profits, and it doesn't matter anymore if you're long and this thing continues up, because you can just buy in again. But when the market drops in the S&P 5% and in the Dow it drops 10%, you don't want to be in the market anymore. I mean, you're talking about accepting a small type of crash in your long position, just because the market hasn't given you a signal here to stop out. That's not smart, in my opinion. You want to secure your profits by pulling the stop along, not too far behind the market, so you can wait until a fractal is formed, or your exit signal is formed exactly where you need it. But this is what you would actually need to do. Move it along. And I marked for you here with the blue line my exit. As you can see, it's not a good exit at all. I'm making profit, quite a bit of profit here on those 3 entries, but it's very far away from the top. Of course, as a trend follower, we never expect to get out at the top, but still, we are missing out on this parabolic move. We left all of this on the table, and we just get totally hit on this heavy downfall of this market. But there's nothing we can do. We always have to expect the unexpected. We never know what the market has in store for us, and we can only sit here and accept the situation as it is. While this happened, momentum was at an absolute high. We now see a drop in momentum, and just for the opinion that I have now here, we are out of our longs. We have not lost, but we are losing this huge trend where we had scale a position that we were scaling in on, and that was really it's really sad to see positions like this go, just because where is the next trend going to be? When is it going to happen where we have the chance to build up something like this? So on an emotional level, this is very tough to take, that this trend is just now over. Something that ran for a year and made profit over profit over profit is now just out of the market in a very quick action. As you can see, took only 2 weeks or even 1 week to kill all of this off, and now we're done. We're inside the balance zone, no bounce out of the balance zone, and I'm expecting no new highs this year. This is gonna go nowhere, which means it could go up a little bit more. No, not making any new high in my opinion. It could come down a little bit more, but altogether the market is now going to find itself first. Now people are screaming that this is the bottom and you gotta buy the dip. Other people are screaming we're going down 50% from here. It's probably going to be none of those things. Like always, what people think is always wrong. You just have to follow the market, and the market is probably going to find itself somewhere in here. Should it be doing anything else? We are set up with our signals to buy. No sell signal yet. That's pretty much it for what we can say about this. For me, it's the situation that I'm very sad not to belong here anymore. Indices are done with their uptrends. I got out with profit, but I don't like my exit signal at all. But I had to take it at that point simply because market's coming down 10%. Hello, I'm not gonna stay in that. And now it's a waiting game, a big waiting game going on, since we don't know when the next trend is going to be where. That's the S&P. Dow pretty much the same. Nasdaq is the same. Let's take a look at the Nikkei, because this is what we were looking at the most, and this is what I was most excited about for the last year. Let me scroll or zoom out a little bit. As you can see, I'm talking about weekly entries as mentioned in the video since the beginning of 2017. Here, this black line, even this smaller one here, and a new entry in there. You do have massive possibilities to add on in a trend like this too. You can add on those fractals, and you can add on here as well. Monthly chart was running up so well. We were talking about this red line. Prices closing above it means we are respecting this previous resistance as new support, and the market seems to have taken this level, which is a level that we can observe especially well on the monthly chart. This is the decade-long resistance that was or has been forming over 30 years, and now the market has come out of it, but this week it's pulling back to it, and that includes our long positions being stopped out, as we are seeing a drop from 23,000 down to below 21,000, more than 10%, and closing just above the blue line, which is the bottom border of our balance zone, which means that this uptrend has been completely violated. The market was very unthankful, not giving us a fractal inside the balance zone, but again, just like in the S&P, stopping us out at a place where, for me, a significant support was lying. If it's hit in a devastating market action like we saw, I don't want to be in this anymore. However, it's making me very sad and it's very hurtful that this is over like that with a devastating loss. Not loss, we are not losing money here, but with a loss of the trend, with a loss of the possibility of a massive market move happening over the next 3 to 5 years in the Nikkei. That is gone for now, this scenario. We would have to wait for the market to find itself and see where it's going to go. We have a buy signal here already. We would be waiting to short as the market overall is not below the balance zone. Monthly chart, as you can see, we're still above the balance zone, just having approached this level here. And we will have to wait to see where it's going to go. For now, this is done though. So we are out of all indice longs. We've taken profits. The exit signal was not nice. Not a nicely and slowly moving market that is forming the fractals where we want them to be, but a devastating hit that we experienced, losing a lot of the past gains that we were having. Open profit here. We are not able to book it, and we just have to wait now, and there is nothing else to say about it. You jumping around, you getting in, you having opinions about all of this now won't make this money back, and it won't recreate the scenario of a longer term trend occurring and actually still going on. I mean, it's delusional to think that the market is going to erase in the next 4 weeks these kind of losses that we saw here. It's delusional to think that, and to stay long, you have to have a stop in the market that gets you out when the market drops double digits percentages. That makes no sense otherwise, in my opinion. So that's the situation going on. Very unthankful stuff happening in gold, in silver, in the euro, and I don't really see any trend occurring anywhere soon. We have stop outs in the euro yen. We are not looking good on our longs in gold and silver. We are underwater there as well. And I have a British pound Australian long going on, but this is all talk of next week. I've already been wasting your time for 18 minutes, so let's finish it off at this point. Post your comments if you have any. What do you think about that heavy drop? What is the situation of the long-term trend follower at this point here now? Coming back to you next week or in a couple of weeks as soon as we have some interesting stuff going on. For now, let's deal with our emotions, and let's deal with our unfulfilled expectations that we might have had, as these trends were looking so nice, but they didn't get continued. I'm wishing you a well Sunday, a happy Sunday, and a good week next week. I see you soon.